Today, on my grandpa's train, I am going to do the repair of the broken corner on the cab roof. As you can see, there is a chunk missing from the cab roof. This is going to take time and patience. I am not concerned about perfection, but I do want it to look as good as it can. I also do not want it to break off again. So, there are 3 steps to do this repair. First will be to use an aluminum reinforcement strip. Then build up the corner with rock hard water putty. This part is essential since the repair putty is likely as old as the engine that I am repairing. This is different from both Bondo or epoxy putty, neither of which are ideal. This is water-based plastic powder. Finally, I will paint the repair to match the cab roof as close as I can. First thing to do is to remove the shell from the engine. Okay, now that's done, so now what I have done is sanded the inside of the cab roof with 150 grit sandpaper. This will allow the glue to stick much better. I also sanded the top of the aluminum for the same purpose. I cut this piece of scrap aluminum to match the size and then bent it in the center to match the angle of the cab roof. I am going to coat the aluminum piece in super glue and let it cure overnight. So I will be back when that's done. Looks like the glue worked, so next I am going to mix up a batch of the rock putty and start the application. I don't need much for this and I don't have much left in the container. Now I will add a bit of water. This stuff takes less water to dissolve than the container says. The directions say to use 3 parts powder to 1 part water. But experience shows use the amount of powder you need, and use a dropper to add water, which I did not do here, and I already added too much. The only way to fix that is to keep adding powder. Normally you want this to be a thick consistency like peanut butter, but this is like creamy soup. I added the rest of the container of powder, and still this is not thickening up. It's like a melted soft serve ice cream. The only thing left to do is to wait a while and let it evaporate to thicken up a bit. While I wait for it to evaporate, I read on the can that you can mix in paint and it will dye the putty. I've got green paint. Let's see what it does. I am just going to add a drop. Now it's looking like mint ice cream. I'll add a few more drops of paint and keep stirring, then let it sit for a while. Now my concoction looks about to be the color of like creamed peas or mint ice cream. Again, not something you want to eat. I'm going to keep adding a little more dye or paint and see if I can get it to continue to darken up. And I'm going to keep stirring it so it will continue to thicken. It's still a little bit too thin and I don't have any more powder to add. So at this point, the putty is set up enough that I can manipulate it into the shape of the cab roof. Had this been mixed properly in the beginning, this would have taken minutes, not hours. So I'm going to shape the putty to match the cab roof. Then I will let it cure overnight, and I will be back tomorrow. Alright, it's the next day, and now I am going to get ready to sand and paint the cab repair. First, I am going to cover the cab roof with painter's tape, which will protect the areas I do not want to modify or paint from any damage. Next, I'm going to take sandpaper and a file and start sanding down the dried putty until it closely matches the cab roof. Once I am happy with that, I will also notch the putty to match the ridge in the plastic. It will not be 100% perfect, but again, that's not the goal. It's just to get it as close as I can without damaging my repair. This is going to take a while, so I will be back when it's in progress. You probably cannot tell on camera, but the profile of the repair is pretty close to the original, with the exception of the corner is slightly round. Now that I am happy with how the shaping turned out, I am finally ready to paint it. Having the putty pre-dyed green I think will actually help the color matching go a little easier. I have 2 shades of green paint, which I will add about 3 drops of this arbor green and 1 drop of the lime tree green. Both of these colors are available at Walmart. Initially, I am just guessing at how close I am going to be with these colors. Remember that when the paint dries, it will change color slightly, so I am trying to take that into account. Now I will just apply the paint. Well, this paintbrush is really terrible, but I will use it to just apply the paint and then grab a nicer brush to finish the details. As you can see, as I am applying the paint, this looks like it is going to be a very close match if the paint dries the color I would like. Right, now let's see the finished product. The paint is drying and it is really closely matched. I am sure I could get it better if I spent hours mixing and trying different shades, but I realized that it will never match 100% because the original is more of a satin finish and my paint is a matte finish. Well, after all that, I'd say this repair was a success. By the way, you can still buy the water putty at Menards. Now, all I have to do is take this back to the track and test it out. Let's see how it does pulling the local freight around. If you like this video, please remember to leave a comment and help out my channel by subscribing. And thanks for watching.